this video, we're just going to look over the Korg Prologue. We're going to go through a basic overview of each of these sections. So we're just going to start looking right here. This is the oscillators. These are the two analog oscillators. And then this is the multi-engine down here. We're using an initialized preset. So we just have the oscillator 1 on in the mixer. This is a saw wave. I can change a waveform by turning this. And you can change the octave over here. This changes the pitch. If I hold down Shift and I turn, it's actually going to do a semitone tuning. So you can just snap it right back to original position. Also, there's shape. And see what it does in the waveform. And it's different on each waveform. So now we can turn on the mixer here, oscillator 2. We have it different octaves, different waveforms for each. In other words, all these controls are pretty much copied down here. Playing with the shape. So I just reset this to the saw wave. We also have over here on oscillator 2, we can change it to sync, which synchronizes this wave to the pitch of the oscillator 1 wave. So I can even turn off the oscillator 1 wave. If I change the pitch here of the second oscillator, it's going to make different sounds. Of course, we can change the shape as well on both. So it's just changing the pitch and the shape. What this does is it's called pitch EG. So in other words, it takes this and applies it to an envelope generator right down here. So if I move this switch and change it to VCO2, and then we turn it up, we can turn it into the positive or the negative. So by playing around with that and then changing the attack, decay, sustain, release over here, you can make it do different pitches. So there's all those controls we can play around with. You can also flick this down to ring mod. Make some crazy sounds with that too. I just churned the filter. If this gets a little too harsh, we can tone it down a little. So a lot of different things we can do here. I'm going to switch back to init again, back to the saw wave. Let's turn up both of them now. And again, we can modify the pitch also without all those effects. just playing around with this. Again, we can just limit it to VCO2. Also, we have cross mod depth, so on top of everything else we were doing, we can add that. Maybe use ring mod and you can hear what's going to happen if this is way up. So down here we have the multi-engine. I'm just going to go over a couple of things with this. So first off, noise. We're going to turn down the 2 analog oscillators. So we just have noise here. You can adjust the shape of it. So it's just running it through different filters here. Decimator. So you have all that. And then if we switch up here, we have VPN. So if we want a sine wave, there it is. But we also can change the shape of this. You can see what it does to the waveform. There's a lot of different waveforms. As you can see, they all react differently. So if I hold down Shift and turn shape, that's actually going to change the ratio. So if I bring it up a little versus lower, that's kind of harsh, so I'm going to turn down the cutoff till it sounds okay. So there's all sorts of different waveforms in here. And they each sound pretty good. There are also user waveforms. If I flick this up, you can also check out some demos that I did with some user oscillators. So that's oscillator section and the mixer section. So here's the filter, so it can do cutoff. And then we turn up the resonance and we get different sounds. And turn that up. Now this right here is the envelope generator intensity. So it can start in the middle and you can go positive or negative, and that's going to affect the filter depending on what we have the ADSR set to. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a decay on there. If I turn that down a little, turn up the resonance. We can also go on the reverse. We can change the envelope. Just going to turn up oscillator 2. Now down here we have drive. So if we turn it up, it has 2 different modes. So if we flick it up here, let's go back down. So that's with it off. There's mode 1 and 2. Can do low cut, so if we have low notes here, low tones, you probably want headphones to hear this. can flick it up, and you can hear the big difference there. Then we have key track with different intensities. We already see the amp EG, so that's attack, decay, sustain, release. Amp is your volume. If I turn it up, it's going to start fading in. So the higher it goes, the longer it takes. This is going to increase, and then it'll fall to 0 value, and then this is 0 too for release. So in other words, we're just going to hear these two interacting. So when I release, it doesn't fade out. So if I want it to fade out, there's release. I want to change release on here too, so that when I let go, it pulls up the filter. So now it's fading out. I can fade it in too. Down here we have the LFO, so this is where we want the LFO to go. So we can bring it to the pitch, the shape, or the cutoff. You can only assign it to one thing, and there's only one LFO. Sustain is up all the way, everything else is off. We can choose the shape. It's going to be a saw wave, and then we can change from the BPM, so it'll go to a beat, or slow mode or fast mode. So what we're going to do is have this on pitch, and then we'll turn up intensity. You can hear the pitch change the higher we go here. Rate is going to make it go faster or slower. Let's turn down resonance. And this goes very fast. So you can do a lot of different strange sounds using this on top of everything else. You play with the amount. Let's change the shape. And then square. Now on top of all this, we have effects. So up here we have different modes. What we want to do is hold down edit mode and press this first button right here. And now we're looking at right here, this top mode here. So if I flick it on, it says chorus type stereo. So now I'm applying a chorus off and on. We can change the speed and the depth. And we have different modes. So since I'm in this mode here, if I turn this, we can change it to different types. So if I flick this up, it changes now to an ensemble. On versus off. Pushing it up again, we're now in phaser. And changing the modes. And then we have flanger. And all the different modes with that. I'm going to flick that off, and down here we have delay and reverb. So you have to press this button again one time. So if we're just out of the menu here, hold down edit mode, press this, press it again. Now we're looking at the delay type. Of course, we have depth and time. Now if that's too loud, hold down Shift, and we turn this, and it changes the volume. If I want it kind of quiet, there we go. And turn it down. We can also change all these different types of delay. And also reverb. And it operates the same way, time and depth. So if you hold down Shift and you turn this to the left, it's going to be completely dry. If we turn it all the way to the right, it's completely wet. And I can make it right in the middle for a nice mix. So we have all sorts of different reverbs. Riser is my favorite. Over here we have voice mode. So right now we're in poly mode. So we can play different voices here. So turning this kind of makes it a little detuned. If we change to mono, now we can only play one note at a time. But all the voices are stacked. So if I turn this up, we get a sub oscillator. Next is unison. So I just slowly can detune the unison. And then we have chord. You can switch to different chords here. And then we have portamento up here. So if you want the notes to glide, you just turn it. If you turn it up, it's going to take longer to go to the next note. And we have an arpeggiator here, so I can turn it on, and we can start playing around with it. You can change the tempo by tapping it. And we can change the range, and that's how many octaves it goes across. All the way up to 4 octaves. We can also change the type, so it can rise, fall, rise and fall, random, and polyrandom. Change the range. I can hold down latch. Now I can let go and just play around.